Today we're talking to guitar phenom Shane Guerrette. How we doing, Shane?
Good, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Welcome,
Yes,
welcome.
yes. Well, we tried this the other day and we had some technical issues, and you were kind enough to come back and make it right and do this thing right. So why don't we jump in? I mean, you have the most fascinating backstory to me. In when was it? 2011, I guess you started a YouTube channel that kind of blew up on you.
It did somehow, and I don't know how, to be honest, but I was just learning guitar, learning how to sing while playing guitar, and I was listening. I was a kid and listening to what was popular at the time. So that was Justin Bieber and One Direction, stuff like that, and um I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot, and I was just kind of dipping my toes into the water musically, and I posted some covers like in that vein, and so some of them did probably better than they should have, and I'm not mad at that, obviously, but I learned a lot from it, and I continued. Honestly, I still continue to find my own sound and rehone it and develop it further. But that's how I got
How
started.
old were you when you started the channel in
Oh
2011?
man, probably I started guitar at 14, so probably 15 or 16 years old.
Nice.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I just
Right.
got my parents' camcorder and I just set it up and recorded some covers in front of it, and people liked it somehow. I don't know.
That's great.
That's the beauty of being 14 when you start something like that, though, because you don't realize you're like, hey, everybody's gonna watch my video.
Oh
Yeah, you're like, I'll just put it out in the world and whatever. And
I still have that feeling now with music and um, developing my sound, and you just put it out and hope for the best. Really, that's all I can do, and trust my gut as like what's motivating me, and I think that's the strongest thing you can do as an artist. Just like trust your instinct and whatever you feel motivated by, put it out there, and hopefully it finds its audience.
and these days there's so many ways to do that. I mean, it's fascinating. Like you're a perfect example of that, not going the traditional route or whatever that even is anymore. I don't even know if there's a traditional route anymore. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. And looking at your channel now, I mean, over 89,000 subscribers. So I mean, that's wow. That's pretty, and over 3 million views. I think it had on there too. I
If
think
only we could do those numbers too.
right. I mean, it says a lot. Longevity speaks for itself. I mean, yeah, that's all. I mean, we always talk in fish stuff about like how many shows you've seen, but I always look at it like how many years have you been like in, what I mean? Because the longevity is what really matters to me, and that's kind of like where you're at, like from 2011 till now. That's impressive, man. To build that and keep that going. That's really, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's been times of discouragement for sure, and it was honestly right about the time I was about to quit music that I found a way back to it, and that's when the magic started happening. It's like the funniest thing is they always say like right the moment you're about to quit is the closest you are to success. And for me that was true. I don't know.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So what prompted the decide to shift to doing original songs?
That was just years of writing bad songs, and then just kind of I always had the passion for it. I always had there's no better feeling to me than coming up with a song and thinking, oh, I have something here. It's like how a miner must have felt back in the day when they struck gold. You just know when you have something cool, and it's just an individual thing. For me, it's a subjective thing to myself. When I'm moved by something, that's the best feeling in the world, and I think that's how an artist should be. Like writing without expectations of what others are going to think. But yeah, I was doing it for years and just like, honing my craft on the songwriting front, and really just struggling for a bit. But it's all learning. I was just refining it little by little, year after year, and with like these past two records I put out, I feel like I've gotten better at kind of skimming the fat, and like I just used to be too artistic and try to make it like the most artistic thing in the world every time I was at bat. I was just trying to be just overly artistic, and then I came to a point where I was like, oh, people might not want to hear this, so maybe if I just refine it on just coming up with good hooks and making it catchy and still in my vein of what satisfies me. But it's a little give and take, I guess. But yeah, it took a long time to redevelop it. And
you don't want to have to think too much about music. Yeah. In my opinion, I like stuff that's right there. It gives you, gives you what you need. You put out a full length, right? Here's Hoping back in 22. Then you had your EP More Of in 23. What was the recording process like? Was this the thing done at home, or did you actually go into the studio?
It's all DIY. And the first album I put out was really a mistake. It wasn't meant to be put out until I had recorded everything. And what I was really trying to do was make a demo. And I was staying with my brother down in New York City. And this was the end of COVID, so everything was starting to open up again. And I went down and played a whole bunch of open mics, and I don't know, just wasn't resonated the way I hoped it had. I had the songs, I was playing them live, and just I wasn't playing them to anybody. And I thought to myself, there has to be a better way, And so I thought, I always wanted to go into a studio, so let me record a demo and find a producer and try to get into a studio. And what had happened is I made that demo, I submitted it to a bunch of producers. I really liked their products, and no one really got back to me. So I was kind of at my wit's end. I was like, I have nothing to lose. I got these songs recorded. I'm just going to put them out. And that's the story of the first album. It's really just a demo recorded on my computer. And yeah, I since then I've been working like that. Just it's all DIY. And
now, is Lost Without on that first album, or was that on More Of?
Yeah, that's on the first album.
Right, yeah, 5 million streams at least.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't. Yeah, it's just people, and the funny thing about that is like, I didn't think that was going to be the hit. I believed in other ones just as much. And I don't know. It's up for the people to decide like what they like. I can't force them to like anything. And that was kind of the one that just
Dylan. I tell you what, Dylan is the worst at that. Like Infidels, the two best songs he recorded for Infidels, Blind Willie McTell and Foot of Pride, didn't make the album.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, man. I don't know. And it's just so subjective,
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you have a pretty big you have the album and the EP. How many other songs we added since 23?
Oh man, after that I had there's another album out that I self-released that's called Heartbreak in the Making, and then another EP as well, In the Heat of the Morning, and then what I consider to be some of my best work yet is like what I'm working on right now. And I'm so I don't know, I'd say probably about 20 songs since then. And I'm really looking forward now, and I'm looking forward and that the next album I truly believe in. I think it's special, and I'm just starting to release it too. It's the first single's out July 11th, so yeah,
next Friday.
Friday, yeah.
So how much? Let me ask you this: how much do you still do like on YouTube and social media and things like that as sort of that way to put things out there or connect with fans or like get that sort of that vibe still, since that's kind of where your roots are, so to speak, kind of?
Yeah, I'm still using it as my main tool to get the name out and get the music out. And it's shifted since those days of the YouTube covers. I feel it's just you kind of have to like be conscious of where the people are at, where the most people, what platform they're using at what time, and now it's just mostly TikTok and the Instagram, so I just shifted priorities, and I'll just be I'll be spammy with it. I'll be posting every day once I release a song, and kind of ruthlessly, it's like, what do I have to lose by trying to get my music out there every day? Like people might get annoyed, but I'm just trying to, it's not I find pleasure in doing that every day. It's just, I really want people to find this music, and I believe in it, and I want them to resonate with it.
It's part of the job. It's part of
Yeah.
your job as a independent musician is to be your own promotional crew.
Self-promotion. Yeah, you got to self-promote. I mean, no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So like, well, I mean, some people will help along the way, but you got to be the,
I think
obviously.
so. I think so. And people that make art and choose not to do it. I just think they're losing on that opportunity that's in front of them. I mean, it's free promotion. All you got to do is go on and post. You don't have to pay for it. It's totally free.
Right.
And it's kind of, I mean, you build that fan base through that, and it's a unique way to connect with fans already because you feel so much closer to them, or they feel closer to you anyway, and it's a way to connect, and then seeing you live and things. So yeah, I think it's really cool though. I think that's fun, and I mean, it must be numbers wise interesting to watch, like different, because like you said, different platforms and even different content for different platforms. Like sometimes you got to change it up a little bit to hit what you're trying to do across those, and doing it yourself, as Kevin I know, takes a lot of work. Like it's not easy to post every day on 4 different platforms and try to remember all of that. And for you, I mean, it's kind of like the lifeblood, so I can understand.
Yeah,
it takes years to be an overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's the bottom line, and it's like numbers online too doesn't always translate to people buying tickets, so it might look pretty and all that, but I mean it's another thing. It's one thing to have a person follow you on social media sites. It's another thing to have that person be willing to spend their hard-earned money to come see a show, and that's kind of the vein that I'm working on. That's how to translate these people from passive fans to like active fans that are buying into this thing.
Right. Well, you're getting things like Mountain Jam. That's where I saw you. I watched the whole Mountain Jam. They showed it on volume, and I was so impressed by you. I mean, that whole lineup that day, all these young artists coming out. It was just so fantastic. What about your live band? How long have they been together? You want to throw out some names, give them a shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mountain Jam was is a dream, honestly. As the biggest stage we've been on so far, and yeah, we've been touring for about 2 years now, maybe a little like 2.5 right now. Yeah, and I used the social media as kind of leverage to get a booking agent, and ever since I started touring, I was like, oh, I need a band, so started looking, and the first one I kind of recruited was my bass player, and we were talking social media. He found me on TikTok, and he left a comment one day. He was like, hey, if you ever need a bass player, let me know, and then got a booking agent and started touring. I was like, hey, need a bass player, and reached
I happen
out.
to need one.
Yeah, and this kid, he's been there for me since like day one of tour, and his name's Maker Manning. He's from New Hampshire, of all places. I'm from upstate New York, so he's got every time we practice, he's driving at least 3.5 hours to come, and yeah, so he's super dedicated. He's there since day one, and my guitarist came along through Maker. His name's Cormac Waters. He's out of Connecticut and lives same thing. 3 hours away. Comes, and they're just the most dedicated guys. But Cormac's been with me for a year now, and drummers I've been kind of rotating. I haven't found like a standstill drummer, I guess to say. But this past run, I've been having my brother out, who's been drumming his whole life, and with me, and yeah, it's always fun to play with him. So,
what is up with drummers? The guy left Humphreys, the guy got kicked out of the Foo Fighters. Ringo Starr's kid got kicked out of the.
I don't know. For me personally, it's just been hard to knock one in, And for me too, man, I'm just like, this isn't full time yet for the whole band, So I'm just working on people's schedules. They're all working jobs, and it's whoever can get the time off and come out for a couple weeks at a time. That's the toughest obstacle.
Yeah, it is. That's when it becomes the business owner part of it that isn't maybe not one of the fun jobs that you have to do. Let me ask you about, you have your albums out, you have your new songs. How do you approach set lists? Are there certain songs that you're going to want to play every night because you're putting your best foot forward? How much does it change up?
Yeah, this is something that I was actually introduced by my bass player, and it's like this world of switching up the set list, and it's something I look forward to doing. The more my catalog builds up, because I don't want to deliver the same show night after night. It's for the fans that come to multiple shows. They don't want that. For us playing it night after night, we don't want that. It's nice to keep it fresh. And as it's building, we've definitely been switching it up. But yeah, at this point, I don't know. It's I always like to test to use new song ideas as a tester, like live, to see how crowds react live. And I've been doing that for this next album, and the reaction's been very, very positive. So it gives me hope that didn't lose my chops as a songwriter in the last couple of years. But yeah, but I try to switch it up as much as possible, and I look forward to being able to do that as the catalog builds more and more.
Your songwriting is very, I call it like the Billy Strings kind of thing. I can listen to it and I'm like, is that some blues song I don't know from the 1950s, or was this something you wrote last week? Most of the time it's something you wrote last week. Do you even do any covers?
I mean, not like few and far between. I always like the like Junior Kimbrough, and he won't perform a cover, and I mean I do though, I do, and I know the importance of it, and it's just if the moment calls for the the night, hey, let's rip this cover, and yeah, I do, but it's funny that starting out as a cover artist, and now it's just all I want to do is originals. It's funny, but
that's because you discovered that you were really good at writing songs.
Right. So you don't need to cover other songs. But I think that's funny that's kind of like how you started, and now you're like, just doing my own thing. Not even as like a throwback to just do a Bieber song sometime, or like one of the first ones you put on YouTube, just like to be like, this is an old one. Like this is
I love that the pop influences that you mentioned Bieber, that on some level you can hear a little bit in there. You have that sensibility of writing a song with a great hook.
Yeah. That's it. I think that's my strong suit is the repetitive thing that gets people singing it in the shower and they don't even know they're singing it. It's that sort of thing. I don't know. I just kind of pride myself on that. And
well, yeah, and the whole beat, the whole like song is very, the bluesy sound in it, and that driving sound is very catchy and very easy just to like throw on and have on, and like you almost don't even realize, you're 3 songs deep and you don't even realize that you're like kind of singing along or humming along to it, and you've never even heard it before, but you know it, you know what I mean? And that's what's cool. There's like a familiarity to it, which is really,
oh yeah,
cool.
and yeah, as good as it is, I don't want to be the one trick pony where it's it's just, oh, here comes that riff guy again. I want to, I spent years when I was a kid like learning how to play guitar and the soloing, and I was just so enamored by guitar at such a young age. So I spent so much time learning guitar and soloing, and kind of transcribing different solos and stuff, So now everything just feels full circle where I'm, I kind of figured it out riff wise, and now I'm incorporating the guitar and more than ever into the next project, and bringing it back full circle. And yeah, I'm excited to do that.
There is something to be said though for doing the same thing repeatedly. I mean, what, the Ramones, 17 albums, all the same. AC/DC, 20 some albums. Everyone's the same pretty much.
Sure. Yeah. There is.
So are you actually in the studio now?
No, not yet. I'm it's funny. It's funny because I'm almost like transitioning to that, because now, I literally just started on my computer and I was programming everything. I was playing the bass guitar lines on a guitar that I dropped an octave to sound like a bass. And, I was just kind of faking it. And now I have, guys that I've known for years, and I'm just letting them do their thing and laying it down on the new songs. And I'm in that transitory period, I guess, where I'm not at a studio yet, but I have real musicians on this, and it sounds like it was recorded in a real room more than ever, And
how much freedom do you afford them? Do you like come in with a sketch and say, here's what I think it sounds like, give me your best beat, give me your best bass?
It's mostly that. I'll still make a demo, and I'll have those parts and say, hey, I sort of want it to sound like this, but I trust them enough to say that and have them do their thing, and from what I'm hearing so far, it's working out great. So yeah.
There you go. So are you going to put out a new release this year, or what's it look like for you?
Yeah, that's the plan. It's not all mapped out yet, but I think time-wise, I think by fall I'll have a third album out.
Yes.
Nice. I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
I like
awesome.
the sound.
Keep working.
Thank
Keep grinding, right? Like it just,
That's
Right.
Yeah.
You just got off a couple gigs. When we tried to speak last week, you were actually on the road. You played over the weekend there. How did those shows go?
They were amazing. I'm just a lot of these markets is my second time in these markets, so it's just building them up. But I mean, the crowd reaction is just I'm grateful for it. I feel like I'm starting to connect with people, and they're starting to really invest in this. And the goal is too, when I'm touring with other artists and I get the opportunity to be in front of a crowd every night, that's not something you should take for granted. And it's if I'm afforded that opportunity, I want to connect with these people, and hopefully they come to my own show next time. So
Right.
For years I was developing that too. Just like that's another skill. The live show, it's so much different than it should be different than the album, in my opinion. It's for a long time I was just kind of doing it pretty straightforward, just kind of playing the songs like how they were recorded. And now I'm just developing the live show and including instrumentation, solos, and transitions, and just embellishing that. And to see like a positive reaction to all that is just the most rewarding thing.
You've made the crossover into being jam band territory, whereas if I go see Aerosmith, I want to hear Walk This Way exactly like it was on the album. I don't need an extra solo. I don't need a beat different. But I feel like what you're saying is, all right, I have the song, I recorded it, it exists that way, but I'm going to let it breathe and grow and become what it wants live.
That's exactly right. I think that's where my heart truly is. Like growing up, I was I did the pop covers and stuff, but when I was learning guitar, I kind of traced back where, a big guy was big inspiration was John Mayer to me, and I traced back like who he learned from. And it's like, you get you dive into like the pool of blues, and it's Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then you trace back and the Three Kings, and but anyhow, like another after that, it was the Allman Brothers Band, and like, oh my God, when I was 20 years old, I was the biggest Allman Brothers fan there is, and now I'm just tracing that back, and it's like that's really the theme of this third album. It's like my life just feels like full circle. I'm doing what I wanted to do as a kid when I was 14, and all I ever wanted to do was tour. I'm doing it, and I guess in a way I'm kind of paying like homage to that younger version of myself, and like honoring what he wanted, and continuing that inspiration that I had so much like just drive, and I'm just trusting that younger version of myself now that I got to the place I always wanted to, and it's just like it's coming full circle. And yeah.
What's your take on Mayer playing with Dead and Company?
I think he does a great job. I haven't dove into it too much. I haven't seen it live even, but
right.
But yeah,
strange turn though. Isn't that such a strange thing that we did, Daughters? And
you would never see that coming. Like if you were to predict, if it was 2006, he just dropped Continuum. If you were to ask me, you imagine you're going to be playing with the Grateful Dead, like no one would have saw that coming. It's just. Yeah, I think
I was not a fan in the beginning. He was easy to make fun of, but he and I did the whole summer 2023 tour. I just made him disappear saying that. We did the whole 2023 tour after shows, 15 minutes after every night. And
that's weird.
And I fell in love with Mayer. I was like, he's such a fantastic custodian of what Garcia did, even period specific. Estimated Profits sounds like 1977 kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you where he really crushed it, and what really sucked me in was playing the bluesier songs and
Mr. Charlie or something.
Yeah, and some of those, like Kevin and I would talk, and you'd be like, he could be playing this with 2 other guys in a smoky bar in Chicago right now, laying it down, and it would be that same sort of feel and that same tone and emotion that he has in it. And I was like, he just gets it. Like, it's crazy. Yes, the guy that's singing Running Through the Halls of Your High School is now like tearing up an old Jerry song that is like, you know, near and dear to my heart. And you're like, holy crap, you know, so it's pretty astounding. Yeah.
I mean, I think
So
he's just
doing Grateful Dead covers is a great way to get your foot into like Relics and Jam Bass and all these more jam band things, just as a little something. Work up a Mr. Charlie or an Easy Wind or something,
or just work the jam into a jam, throw a little Dark Star jam inside another jam and come out of it, and then people are like, hey, what was that? You know, and you're like, yeah.
You know, it's so funny too. This is all stuff I'm learning, and it's really a lot. I got to give a lot of credit to my bass player, because he's huge in the Grateful Dead, and so a lot, the art of live shows and what we're talking transitions, and he really made me pay a lot closer to that, and like, step out of the structure of what a song should be, and make it more free, and like we're saying, let it breathe live. He was the guy.
What's up with the decision to not be a trio and to have the extra guitar? What does that add? That adds, I guess. I mean, obviously it adds to the sound, but when you looked at this, you were like, yeah, I definitely want to have another lead instrument next to me.
Oh yeah, and it's funny you mention this, because for Mountain Jam, for the first time ever, we played as a 5-piece. I got my buddy playing keys, and and he laid it down, and man, I don't know. I did start out as a 3-piece by necessity, the first tour I ever did, because I couldn't afford to bring on another person, so it did start out as that, but growing it, I just I always record with another guitar part, so I kind of wanted to fill in that sound, I mean, a 3-piece, it can be done, you had plenty of successful 3-pieces, but I mean, for what I'm looking to do, it's if for example, say I'm taking a guitar solo, I don't want there to be any dead space where it's, just bass and drums underneath it. I kind of want that rhythm guitar still going, at the same time. Right. And but there's layers to it too. The keys add so much to them all throughout. Mm-hmm. And then say you're right now I'm trading solos with my guitarist, and say you want to just break that up because you're going back and forth, and then all of a sudden the key solo, you get a player that can rip a nasty key solo. It's like, people kind of turn their head like, what's going on? It breaks it up perfectly, So yeah, now I have my heart set on a 5-piece. I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford that, but I'm gonna, it's almost an investment, It's like, I think I want the best live show I can deliver, if I deliver it, I hope people like it and come back, So
there you go. Have you ever thought about I talked to this guy Brandon Teskey the other day, who has a band he just started named Teskey. I mean, he's been around for a while, but it's a new thing, and he has an album, White Wolf, blues bass kind of thing. Another part of the country from you. Have you ever thought about setting up hey, I'm going to come open a show for you, will you come out and open a show for me? And then, I mean, that seems like a great way to network and build an audience without having to involve the organization or the corporate structures or anything.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I've met just even friends, just doing kind of shows like that, and and not so much though. It's been mostly just my agent, and I'm just trusting his gut. Wherever he tells me to go, we agree on it obviously, but
you show up.
He gives me some dates, I'm there. So that's how I've been kind of operating.
I love it. I got to see Chuck Berry play once.
Did you?
A club called the Funk Box in Baltimore, on the soft open night. They had Chuck Berry play. Wow. Chuck Berry pulls up in his Cadillac, guitar in the back seat, calls the office, and he's like, transfer the money. And then once he gets confirmation that the money was transferred to his bank, he walks in with his guitar, played for an hour, walked off stage, said $5,000 for an encore. And the owner was like, nah, man. He walked outside, parked illegally in the alley the whole time in his Cadillac, hopped back in it, and drove off. I was like, I love this guy.
Yeah, that's the real thing right there, man. That's crazy. He knew his worth, man. That's crazy.
Fantastic. I recorded it actually. I do have that tape somewhere of this. I don't know. He's questionable. Some of what he did was questionable in his personal life. But, I mean, it was Chuck Berry in a 500-seat club. So
it's amazing.
You know, that's one for your stats.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's incredible. I wish, dude, if only, man.
Oh, it's fantastic. All right, so where are we going to catch you if we were going out this summer?
Yeah, this summer it's I'm playing a couple of shows East Coast. I'm doing New York City, Boston, and New Jersey. I'm doing Asbury Park for the first time, which is cool.
Nice.
And yeah, I for October we have something scheduled. I don't know if I can go into it too much, but it's West Coast. It's a whole West Coast run, and
nice.
Trying to stay busy. But
first time?
No, actually, it's probably second or third, and yeah, I love it out there, man. I mean, I love it everywhere here, man. This country is amazing, and just the
Southern California has such a great blues tradition that you don't think about, Dave Alvin from the Blasters, even, and things like that. You know, Los Lobos.
Yeah, it's a great crowd over there too, man. They love that sort of music, and yeah.
Maybe if you're in LA, you can drag T out of his house for the night.
Yeah, I'll come see you.
Right on. Yeah, absolutely. We'll love that. Yeah,
definitely. I'll be there. I'll bring some folks out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Where am I buying stuff?
Oh, it's all on my website. It's all ShaneGuerrette.com. And yeah, speaking of, I was just working on merch before this, so I'm excited. I got a lot of stuff planned. So
nice. Yeah. We'll leave a link. We'll put a link below for the website and the YouTube channel and all your links for sure. Yeah.
Do you Bandcamp?
I don't have Bandcamp. I don't know. I just never I think
what's great about Bandcamp? You can put up your songs and have somebody throw you $1 if they like the MP3 and want to download the song. You don't have to do it, but I always felt like the dollar you could get from Bandcamp is 10,000 Spotify streams, maybe.
Honestly, yeah. It's it's hard, man.
I just want a ham sandwich, and Spotify can't even get me that.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Don't get me started with the AI that's going on now.
That's my last question always. Where are you on AI? Let me hear it. Tell me. I mean,
it's tough, man. It's tough. I always try to support the arts as much as possible. With music, obviously, it's more personal, and I don't think it'll ever replace what actual humans are capable of. And
right, you would hear my nightmare scenario?
Yeah,
for AI. An AI group like the Velvet Handle or the Velvet Hammer or whatever. There's some band, whatever they're called. Mm-hmm. Those songs are learned by human beings who actually go out and tour as the AI band. That's what scares me.
Yeah, well, that's where with the live show, I don't think you could ever recreate that. I mean, they got the holograms and stuff, but people would still pay, I guess, to see that. But I mean, I wouldn't. I want to see the real thing.
What were the numbers, T? What were the numbers on that band? 300,000 or something?
Yeah. Just a month of listeners or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, on Instagram too. And it's crazy that they can. And on Spotify, it had a crazy amount of listens on Spotify that you're like, I mean, it's crazy that something like that too takes away, I mean, from other art, people listening to other artists that actually are real. You know what I mean? So there's that aspect to it too, where you're sucking in sure, whatever, but you're pulling people away from listening to shit.
I could be a band and I have zero musical talent. I couldn't carry a tune from here to the door, but I could be huge.
Right.
And it's like, because they've been I don't know who it is, whoever at Spotify it is, or how the algorithms really work, but they're it seems like they're pushing them, because they were in my Discover Weekly, and it actually caught my attention before I knew it was AI. I was like, oh, this is a half decent song,
That's what everybody said. That's what that whole that's what and the fact that they pushed it out there, so you didn't have to really even look for it. It was just there. You're like, oh, let me check this out. And then
they're not doing that for the independent artists that are struggling to get their name out there. It's just it's kind of it's
more clutter in the atmosphere that, just like you said, you're looking for something, you're like, oh, let me check this out, and someone's clicking on that instead of clicking on you, and then it's
well, the thing with Spotify is Spotify doesn't sell music. You go there to buy music, but what they sell you is a subscription. So they could care less what you listen to.
Right. Well, that's just it. They just want you listening to whatever's on their platform, whatever that may be.
Right. Yeah. It's a weird concept, you know.
Weird world we're in, but you know what's cool, that you don't need a record company anymore, and you can be out there doing it like you're doing it. You have, I guess, an agent who you need to have some structure. You need to have a foot in the industry, but I feel like it allows you to probably be your most creative.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with that, you know, that's the thing I like about what I'm doing is I don't have the guy in the suit that's, you know, I send him a song. He's like, nope, you can't release it.
We don't hear a hit.
Yeah, yeah, you know. I mean, there's a place for them. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I think there is if you want to really scale it up, you know, but I like what I'm doing where I'm building it independently, and then, you know, when the time comes, if I partner with a label, you know, hopefully I have some leverage to maintain some integrity and some, you know, royalties and get myself a good deal, you know. And it's like, you totally don't need them for starting out, you know. You don't need to rely on somebody to tell you what to do, you know. If you write a song and you find a way to record it and, you know, get out to people, that's more than enough to get started, you know. And,
oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the doing it. It's the point of
Yeah.
going through it. We keep putting stuff out every day. We put stuff out because that's how
It's also a numbers game to a point, you know. When you just, if you're not, it's, you know, if you're not putting it out there, you're definitely not doing anything. But at least if you're putting stuff out there, you're hoping the chances at least increase that much. So
Absolutely.
one is infinitely better than zero. So putting one thing out there is, you know, you're already.
I want all the ones.
That's it.
Anything else you want to throw out before we wrap up?
Oh, nothing's come to mind, but yeah, just thanks for having me, and thank God the connection held up this time. And yeah, no,
no, this was beautiful. This was perfect. I will take every interview every day of the week like this. This
is great. A lot of fun. Awesome. Thanks for taking the time to join us. This was great. And I can't wait to see you out on the road, man. Definitely when you're in LA, I'll be there. So
we'll do.
Right,
Kevin, where are you from?
Hold on.
Where are you from, Kev? Kev's in Baltimore.
Me? I'm from Baltimore.
Oh, right on. Yeah,
You
next
can't
time
tell by my accent.
Yeah, man. Next time, though,
I
you
say
got
water.
Water.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
They make fun of me forever. Hang out for a second so we can make sure that we upload this works. It's a cloud kind of thing. Everybody out there watching, make sure that you leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Think about liking and subscribing. Think about becoming a member. There's a lot of exclusive content behind the scenes. And thank you so much. We love you.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.